Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. And today we're going to be taking a look at CNN's first Road to 270 map for the 2024 presidential election cycle. Before I start, I'd like to say if you like my content, subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you know when we upload, and also leave a like and comment. And with that said, let's get into it. So the other day, CNN released their first Road to 270 map, which is their ratings for each state in the presidential election. And this first map that they released, even with the toss-up states included, Donald Trump is still winning. They have the Republican nominee, who is going to be Donald Trump, at 272, and they have the Democratic nominee, who's going to be Joe Biden, at 225, with Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Arizona, and Nebraska's 2nd Congressional District as toss-ups. And currently, it's easy to see why CNN believes that Donald Trump is the favorite in the 2024 election, because if you do look at the polls nationally and in swing states, Donald Trump is leading almost all of them. So using the Real Clear Politics polling average, Donald Trump is leading Joe Biden in the general election by 1.2 points currently, which is actually a little bit lower than it was when I made my video the other day. But this makes sense. Donald Trump is leading the polling, and CNN has Donald Trump winning in their map. And if you look at all of the swing state polling averages, all of their swing state ratings make a lot of sense. Right now, Wisconsin, Trump and Biden are tied at 45.8, and in CNN's map, it is a toss-up. If you look at Pennsylvania, Donald Trump is only leading by 0.3%, and in the map, it is a toss-up. Then, if you go to Nevada, Donald Trump's leading by over 5 points, so they have Nevada as lean Republican. Now, if we go back and look at the next state, which is Georgia, Donald Trump's leading by over 5 points, and in CNN's map, they have Donald Trump winning Georgia. In Arizona, Donald Trump's leading by 4.8, and this one kind of bucks the trend a little bit. Arizona is a toss-up on CNN's map, but that's probably because they're taking into account the midterms and general trends in the state of Arizona. But moving on to the other states, if you look at Michigan, Donald Trump's leading by over 5 points in the RCP average, and it's lean Republican on CNN's map. And that's the end of the swing state averages. And so I actually mapped out CNN's map on this website so we can actually see the leaning numbers and the solid numbers. And we can see that Donald Trump has 188 solid electoral votes, while Joe Biden has 175. And Donald Trump has 84 lean electoral votes, which puts him up at 272. Meanwhile, Joe Biden has 50 lean electoral votes, which puts him at 225. And if you compare this to my most recent presidential election prediction, CNN is clearly more bullish on Trump's chances than I am. Because if you look at my prediction with toss-ups like CNN's map, which would just be the tilt states that I have filled in here, Donald Trump does not win without any toss-ups. In my map, if you take away all of the toss-ups from each candidate, Donald Trump's at 235, which is where he was in 2020 if you look at all of the states, and Joe Biden's at 237, which is all of his states from 2020 except all of the toss-ups. And so if CNN has Donald Trump winning without even filling in their toss-ups, they're clearly pretty confident about his chances to win the election with all of the current information. And something else that's interesting about CNN's map is how many deep blue states they actually have in the lean category in their map. Because if you look at states like Oregon, Colorado, and Virginia, these states all voted for Joe Biden by large margins in 2020. Like Oregon, for example, voted for Joe Biden by 16 points in 2020, and they have it as lean Democrat here. I think that's really bullish for Trump's chances. I don't think Oregon's going to be that close. And similarly, Colorado voted for Biden by 13.5 points, and it's only trending more towards Democrats. So I'm not sure why they have Colorado as lean Democrat here either. I can kind of understand why you might say Virginia's lean Democrat since they do have a Republican governor, but a lot of these ratings don't really make a ton of sense to me. And there are a lot of Republican ratings that don't make much sense to me either. Georgia and Florida should not be in the same category, in my opinion. I think Florida is a lot more of a Republican state than Georgia is at this point. And also, it's kind of the consensus at this point that Florida is going to vote to the right of Texas, yet Texas is solid Republican here despite the trends in Texas, and Florida is lean Republican still. I also think it's interesting that of the big three Rust Belt states, they have Michigan as the most Republican because in 2016 and in 2020, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Michigan was the order of these three states from right to left. And right now, Trump is doing the best in Michigan polling compared to the other two, but I think history is a better indicator, especially since history shows that Trump is underestimated in Wisconsin polling especially. And I also think it's really interesting that they're being so kind to Republicans in this map because in 2020, their first map was not super kind to Republicans. This was CNN's first Road to 270 map in 2020. They released it in June after Trump and Biden were already confirmed to be the nominees. And I think this map was fairly accurate. They actually did overestimate Trump in some places. They had Nebraska's 2nd Congressional District going to him when Biden ended up winning that by over 6 points. And they had Georgia going to him when Biden ended up narrowly flipping that. But even in this map, that was kind of balanced out by how North Carolina was a toss up, while Georgia was lean Republican, and Florida was also a toss up. Meanwhile, Joe Biden was starting with all of the states that Hillary Clinton won in 2016. So they were basically saying that Joe Biden had nowhere to go but up from where Hillary Clinton was in 2016. Meanwhile, Trump is losing all of these states that he won 4 years prior. And then the map actually got even worse for Trump as the election grew closer because polls were so bad for him. So by the end, they actually had Biden winning without the toss up states in his column. So in their final electoral map, they had Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania all as lean Joe Biden. And even though these states did vote for Joe Biden, it was much more narrow than expected. And also, they had places like Iowa, Ohio, and Maine's 2nd Congressional District rated as toss ups when Trump ended up winning all of those by pretty big margins. And so now it seems like they're kind of going in the opposite direction with this 2024 map. I think they're being a little too generous to Trump this time around. Because, in my opinion, realistically, at least, Oregon is solid Democrat, and Colorado is solid Democrat, and New Mexico probably is too. And despite the polling, I still think it's safe to call Nevada, Michigan, and Georgia all toss-ups at this point too. Maybe even North Carolina, but I think it's at least fair to call that one lean Republican. And also, if they're going to have Texas as solid Republican, Florida should also probably be solid Republican, as well as New Hampshire being solid Democrat if they're going to make Maine solid Democrat. But overall, the fact that CNN does have Donald Trump winning in their first map is really good news for Trump. Professional media pundits have really never been this favorable to Trump, and I don't think they would be if the data wasn't there, at least to back it up. Now, I think it's important to keep in mind that there is a lot of time between now and the general election. It's almost a 10-month period. The primaries haven't even started yet. I do think that it's possible that after the primary, the Biden campaign is really going to step up and start campaigning hard against Donald Trump. And I do think the primaries are going to be an important point to look at when it comes to polling, because right now Donald Trump is leading the polling, especially in Iowa, by huge margins. But if the polls end up overestimating Donald Trump in Iowa and in New Hampshire, it's possible that polls are overestimating him for the general election too, and that is going to be something to take into consideration after the first couple primaries are over. But overall, I do think it's fair to say that Donald Trump is favored to defeat Joe Biden at this point. And with that said, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you like my content, subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you know when we upload. And also leave a like and comment and let me know what you agree with and what you disagree with. And thank you guys so much for watching, and have a great day.